Why does zoning exist? Racism. Hey guys, it's Tom, your friendly neighborhood housing nerd and zoning commissioner. As a zoning commissioner, I hear a lot of testimony from the public when a developer is seeking a rezoning so they could build new housing. And something I hear all the time from folks who are opposed to new development is the current zoning exists for a reason. And it's funny because I think a lot of folks have this misconception that zoning regulations were all carefully thought out by planners who thought, oh, this should go here and that should go there. But that is very much not the case. A lot of zoning was actually put in place to lock in development patterns that already existed. But the earliest zoning ordinances were all about racism. The very first was enacted in Los Angeles in 1904, and it was meant to keep Chinese immigrants away from everyone else. And it did this by banning laundries near houses. For context, anti-Chinese racism was off the charts back then. In 1882, President Chester A. Arthur signed the Chinese Exclusion Act, banning Chinese laborers from immigrating to the U.S. for 10 years. This ban was renewed with the Geary Act in 1892 and then made permanent in 1902. Because there weren't a lot of women living out west at the time, there was a shortage of people to do what were considered women's jobs: cleaning, sewing, cooking, etc. The Chinese immigrants who made it to the U.S. before the ban filled these jobs. And by the late 1800s, about 3/4 of all laundries in California were run by Chinese immigrants who typically also lived in those buildings. So banning Chinese laundries was a way to keep Chinese immigrants away from white residents. Just 6 years later, in 1910, Baltimore enacted the first explicitly racist zoning ordinance, making it illegal for Black people to live in majority white neighborhoods and vice versa. Overtly racist zoning ordinances like this continued to pop up until 1917, when the Supreme Court declared them unconstitutional in Buchanan v. Warley, at which point towns had to start thinking creatively about how to keep non-white people out of their communities, and some of the zoning that followed is still in place. So look, I'm not saying that all zoning today is racist, but if you're going to oppose a zoning change, it should not be because there's something sacrosanct about existing zoning laws. Follow me for more on housing and zoning.